This is Filipino Veterans Recognition Education Project's fourth major award presentation. Consider yourself honored because this is our last for this year. It may be the last. We need to go on with our next phase, which is education and the more sustainable piece of our project. If you didn't already pick one up, we would like you to read more about our project. It is called WW2. Please take time to read it. Get in touch with one of your Philovet representatives and ask, how can I help? How can I continue my father's legacy? How can I continue my grandfather's legacy? If it were not for them and their sacrifice, you would not be here. I would not be here. We're honored today also to have members of our JBLM warriors here with us today, and honored with our retired personnel. Please take time to say thank you, and also with Brigadier General Oscar Hillman. So I think I used up the last 10 minutes here, so now we can begin our program. Follow along with us with this program. If you didn't get one, I don't know if we have any extras. How's the PA system? Is it good? Can you hear back there? Can I get a hua? Back there? Okay. My name is Thelma San Diego Sevilla. I'm emceeing your event for the day. And as I asked earlier, please respect that this is a solemn, very honorable ceremony, and we want to be respectful of our ancestors and the sacrifice that they made. We have many distinguished guests with us today, and along the program I will be calling them out. We have government officials as well as civic and community leaders and members of your city here, members of our councils. So, do you want to call our presentation of colors? Yes?
Color guard. Pose. Please rise.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Present arms.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. With us to sing the United States Star-Spangled Banner National Anthem and the Philippine National Anthem is Maricruz Valdez Castro.
Present arms.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so
stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight. O'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, saved us that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Senator Arms.
Bayang magiliw, pelas ng silanganan, alam ng puso, sa dibdib mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, duyan ka ng magiting, sa manlulubig, di ka pasisihil, sa dagat at bundok, sa simoy, sa langit mong bukaw, may ilagang tula at awit sa paglayan minamahal. Ang kisap ng tawad mo'y tagumpay na nagninig, ang bituin na tawag niya kailan pamay di matidilim. Lupa ng araw ng luwahatid pagsinta, buhay langit sa piling mo. Aming ligaya dapat may manapit, ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
Thank you, Madam Press. Please be seated. I apologize. I might ask you to stand again when Mr. Alcosio gives our invocation.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to use an invocation that we use at the Congressional Dome for the first award ceremony in Washington, D.C. It was held 23rd of October 2017. Lord, in the hands and hearts of this nation, be raised in prayer and praise for the Filipino men and women who served our nation and the hope of freedom for all of the world during World War II. Though not American citizens, they chose to serve under American command to combat the imperial designs of the Axis powers in the Pacific Theater toward the liberation of their own land and to pave the way for further gains that ended in ultimate victory. May the breath of God uphold their noble and heroic story. May it carry to other generations and even to other nations a message to inspire citizens everywhere to serve without counting the cost. May those who made the ultimate sacrifice, those who etched out historic victories, and those who waited for many years for the benefits of promises made to them during the war, be rewarded with success and find peace. Bless all women and men in military service, no matter their racial, cultural, or religious heritage, and their families. God bless America and grant us peace both in the present and with you forever. Amen.
You may be seated. Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of the Filipino Veterans Recognition and Education Project, Region 8, we, Director Brigadier General Oscar Hellman, Deputy Director Thelma Savella, and myself, Deputy Director Zenaida Crisostomo-Smith, welcome you to this auspicious event. I'd first like to welcome and thank the founder of Asia Pacific Cultural Center, Patsy Sir O'Connell, and Executive Director Lua Pritchard for graciously allowing us to use this facility in celebrating Filipino American History Month, and especially to honor our Filipino American World War II veterans in presenting the Congressional Gold Medal. Thank you. I welcome and thank our congressional, state, community, and civic leaders for supporting our veterans and attending this event. Thank you. Let me just briefly summarize our journey to this point. Back in 2014, General Hellman met with a small group of Filipino Scout Heritage Society Calugos chapter members and shared with us General Taguba's vision for the Filipino Veterans Recognition and Education Project. On December 7, 2014, General Taguba came to Tacoma and spoke to us about the project, which is to raise national awareness through academic research and public education on wartime experience and recognition of Filipino and American World War II soldiers who served from July 26, 1941 to December 31st, 1946. On January 2015, the Philippine Scouts Heritage Society Calugos chapter took the lead to form the One Mission team with several other organizations. We thank the original One Mission team and the other organizations who contributed to working diligently for months, calling and writing to legislators to support the House and Senate bills regarding Filipino and American World War II veterans. Several of us even walked the halls of Congress and met with our representatives and senators in Washington, D.C. We are very proud of Washington State. It was the first out of all the 50 states to receive 100% of our congressional leaders' support. Let's talk about it. Between 2015 and 2016, after many phone calls, letter writing, informational meetings, research, successful action resulted in the passage of the Filipino Veterans of World War II Congressional Gold Medal Act on November 30th, 2016. And on December 14, 2016, President Barack Obama approved and signed Public Law 11-165. Our next task was to continue to reach out to veterans and their descendants, asking them to apply for the Congressional Gold Medal. There was much work to be done, but the One Mission team, getting the names of veterans and contacting them and for their next of kin in order to be vetted and qualified and be placed on the National Registry. In addition to this task, it was important for us to do much fundraising because we felt that our veterans should not pay for purchasing of the Congressional Gold Medal, one of the highest civilian awards bestowed to individuals, institutions, or groups who have performed outstanding achievement that had an impact on American history and culture. On October 25th, 2017, a year ago today, we held our first
award presentation when Speaker of the House, Paul Ryan, formally awarded the Congressional Gold Medal to the Filipino veterans of World War II and their families in Washington, D.C. Many of us in this room today were honored to attend that presentation. Since that time, we had had numerous award presentations, and today's presentation, 1 year after the first one was held in Washington, D.C., we celebrate our 50th National Award presentation. So this is the 50th one. Region 8 has formally presented 4 presentations in the state of Washington. And this is our last presentation, our 50th presentation. But the work is not finished. We need your support as we continue our fundraising efforts for the second phase of this project, which is the national education, so vital to continue the legacy of our Filipino-American World War II heroes. Please don't hesitate to write out those checks deep in your pockets and make them out to the Filipino Scouts Heritage Society, where your donation will be directed for this project. We're so honored to welcome our living veterans and their spouses, widows of our veterans, and many of the descendants who are with us today as we celebrate the special 50th National Congressional Gold Medal presentation during Filipino American History Month. Take in all the memories of today's event and remember the sacrifices made by your loved ones. They have waited 75 long years to be recognized. Let's begin the program. I welcome you all and thank you for sharing on this day.
I was told that it's not very audible in the back. Is that true? Or can you hear? All right. Okay. All right. So because it's really important you hear the proclamation. To share with us the Washington State proclamation today is none other than Reynaldo Pascua, President of the Yakima Valley Filipino Association. I have to say a little something about Mr. Pascua, and I hope you don't mind, Ray. He has worked tirelessly to get the support and commitment of major Washington State cities that have had major contributions and impact to the state of Washington. Please take time when you see him to thank him, because if not for his tireless efforts, Filipino History Month would not be a reality here in the state of Washington. So to share with us the proclamation and working with the governor's office is Reynaldo Pascua.
Kumusta? And a very special shout out to our Yakima Valley recipients today, and to my friends who have driven from the Yakima Valley this morning. My name is Reynaldo Pascua, and I am president of the Filipino American community of the Yakima Valley. I'm also a trustee on the national board of the Filipino American National Historical Society. And this has been an honor for me for the last 4 years to be participating in the honor of giving the medals to our honored people. Washington State celebrated the Filipino and American veterans of World War II in April. I assisted our governor and our two houses of the legislature to pass proclamations. And so I will read Governor Inslee's proclamation. Proclamation. Whereas Filipinos have lived in the United States for over 430 years and have contributed to the cultural, economic, social, and political life of Washington, the other Pacific Northwest states, and the entire country. And whereas in 2016, the United States Congress passed the Filipino Veterans of World War II Congressional Gold Medal Act of 2015, now enshrined as Public Law 114-265. And whereas the Congressional Gold Medal is one of the highest civilian awards bestowed by the United States and represents a public expression of the United States Congress's gratitude on behalf of the nation for the distinguished contributions of some 260,000 Filipino soldiers and guerrillas during World War II in the Philippines. And whereas at the national level, through the Filipino Veterans Recognition and Education Project, PhilVet-Rep, the National Federation of Filipino American Associations, and the Filipino American National Historical Society, and at the local level through the PhilVet-Rep Region 8, as well as throughout the Washington State Department of Veterans Affairs, the Washington State Commission on Asian Pacific American Affairs, and various Filipino American organizations. These Filipino heroes continue to be recognized and celebrated through the award of bronze replicas of the gold medal to eligible veterans. And whereas the Filipino Veterans Recognition and Education Project Region 8 has set designated events in Olympia on April 14, 2018, in Renton on April 15, 2018, and in Wapato on April 28, 2018, to recognize Filipino and Filipino American veterans of World War II from the states of Washington, Alaska, Oregon, Idaho, and Montana. Now therefore, I, Jay Inslee, Governor of the State of Washington, do hereby declare April 2018 as Filipino American Veterans of World War II United States Congressional Gold Medal Recognition Month in Washington, and I encourage all people in the state to join me in this special observance. Signed this 22nd day of March 2018, Governor Jay Inslee. And because of those, that was the official Washington State ceremony for the veterans in the month of April. Since then, Vivian Luna, who is one of the directors of PhilVet-Rep Region 8, assisted me in drafting the language, and several counties and cities in the state of Washington have passed recognition resolutions, and they recognize the Congressional Gold Medal, and it coincides with this year's 2018 Veterans Day celebration. So I want to name the cities that have done the proclamation. King County, Yakima County, the cities of Auburn, and I'm very proud of the city of Bremerton, and Mayor Wade Wheeler is here. The city of Everett, the city of Pateros, the city of Wapato. If you can join me next Tuesday, the city of Tacoma will be announcing and passing its resolution at its city council meeting. And we are waiting for the city of Seattle and Spokane to do their proclamations also. But all of their proclamations declare the U.S. Congressional Gold Medal to coincide with this year's Veterans Day. So let's have a great Veterans Day this year. Thank you. I would like to present copies of the Governor's Proclamation to my good friend Lou Pritchard. And to Utah. This is for the Columbus chapter of the Philippine Scouts, so I wanted to present a copy for them. Thank you.
Don't be shy.
Don't be shy.
Thank you, Ray, and congratulations, Lua. We have a very special video now that we would like to show. Our technical support, Aki, do you think we can get the lights dim so we can have a better viewing? Excellent. And I'm not sure if these flags will be hampering visibility. What do you think, guys? Because we are using this as the screen.
Move the flag.
Thank you. While that's being done, I'd like to take an opportunity to acknowledge several of our distinguished guests today. We have with us representatives from Senator Patty Murray's office. We have the Director of Veterans Affairs, Chelsea Clayton, who has been instrumental in helping us with our support. Chelsea, could you take a minute, please? Stand. Show folks. Along with the Director, I met her just today for the first time, Director of the Sound Outreach, Christine Nye. You folks here in the South area, you want to get together with her so she can give you the support you need. Along with the acknowledgements, we'd like to recognize a couple more government officials. I'm not sure if Representative Derek Kilmer arrived here today. Is he here? Former Lieutenant Governor Brad Owens. And standing in for Senator Bob Hospital today is Senator Steve Conway, whom you'll hear from in a little while. Thank you. Former State Senator and former Mayor of Tacoma, Brian Ebersol. And with us today is is Bruce Demmeyer, whom you'll also hear from a little later. We mentioned earlier that we have a mayor of Bremerton, Mr. Greg Wheeler, and his lovely wife, Sunny. Sunny is the great-granddaughter of Major General Albert Jones. For some of you who may remember, he was the commanding officer of the 51st Regiment or Battalion in the Philippines and also a prisoner of war. give a little plug. I read the book, Tears in the Darkness, in which her great-grandfather was mentioned. And if I found this book in a used shelf, I encourage you to take a look at it and read it for yourself. It captures the experiences of it as a prisoner of war in the Bataan area. So with that, we're all set with the flag. Let's show the video.
Constitutional authority on July 26, 1941, and orders into service of the United States all of the organized military forces of the Philippines. Less than 24 hours after the attack on Pearl Harbor, the Japanese invaded the Philippines.
The order came through the radio to the effect that all army people, whether they are in the active or reserve service, have to report for duty. Every Filipino who went to the war was made to understand that we were fighting not only for our country, but also for the American people.
Combined Filipino-American forces put up a gallant, delayed defense on the Bataan Peninsula. Finally, out of ammunition and food, the defenders surrendered to the Japanese. 66,000 Filipinos and 12,000 Americans are forced to march 70 miles to their prison camp in what would become known as the Death March.
The main facts are the good thing because starving hunger because of heat. And so it fell by when deciding sometimes they go only for us. And he would help me back in my place. He's very strong enough so that he puts this station.
The casualties during this one-week march without food or water are staggering. Nearly 700 Americans and close to 10,000 Filipinos perished. After Bataan falls, the remaining Philippine forces numbering 13,000 gather on the Arctic fortress of Corregidor to wage a final battle. Overwhelming Japanese forces put an end to this heroic but doomed defense. 1,800 are killed or wounded, and the remaining 11,000 are paraded through the streets of Manila before being parceled out to various POW camps in the Philippines. The sum total of Filipino and American POWs is over 72,000, including troops in the Bataan Death March and those later captured at Corregidor and other areas in the Philippine archipelago. Among the Allied nations, the Philippines is second only to Poland in terms of total war destruction. In the Allied fight against fascism, nearly 60,000 Filipinos were killed in action, thousands more were wounded for life, and hundreds were classified as missing in action. The civilian casualties were devastating, with loss of life estimated at nearly 1 million. At this great cost, the country was liberated and democracy restored. At the end of the war, President Truman reluctantly signed the 1946 Rescission Act, stripping Filipino veterans, those who were left out of the U.S. Army list of soldiers and guerrillas, of all the veterans' benefits guaranteed by President Roosevelt in 1941. Of the 66 nationalities that fought on behalf of the United States, only those from the Philippines were denied benefits. Despite the humiliation and injustice suffered through all these years, these veterans remained steadfastly stalwart in their loyalty and dedication to the United States. They maintained the belief that someday they will be recognized for accomplishing their mission. Filipino soldiers of World War II fought and died for the same reasons American soldiers did: the preservation of democracy and freedom around the world. In many instances, they fought together under the same commander. But it is vital to remember that they were not just fighting for their homeland. They were defending, protecting, and ultimately liberating sovereign territory held by the United States of America. Throughout the entire course of World War II, the Philippines remained a territory of the United States. Although we cannot undo the injustices of the past, the awarding of the Congressional Gold Medal to these deserving veterans will go a long way towards honoring the sentiments voiced by President Truman in 1946. The record of the Philippine soldiers for bravery and loyalty is second to none. Their assignment was as bloody and difficult as any in which our American soldiers engaged. Under desperate circumstances, they acquitted themselves honorably. It is the purpose of the United States to do justice to these veterans.
There's a command in the United States Army video of. There's a couple of distinguished guests also we want to add and thank. Council Member Kathleen Bushka, welcome. And also Council Member of Lakewood, Marshall Branston. Thank you. The founder of the Filipino American National Heritage Society, Auntie Dorothy, been hearing 50 descendants video since 1900. Thank you, Auntie. 1900, yes. Well, also, Sinaida summarized our journey of the Filipino Veteran Recognition Project. That makes my job easier. The movie helps me and also talk about the education project. And it really took 4 years, a lot of us, it took 4 years of our lives. I'm not very good on membership in other nonprofit organizations. Majority of us devoted to advocate for the Congressional Gold Medal, and we accomplished that. A lot of my friends, the most hardworking working Command Sergeant Major Alan Figuracion, he kept the records of 500 registered applicants in hard copies. You know, and his book is transparent to all, you know, who's eligible for a Congressional Gold Medal. Then my other friends that I served with in Iraq, Command Sergeant Major Alba, Langmo, and Olivia, we were in the same base camp, together there, continue to be friends forever. And I'd like to add, and I'm very proud of him also here today, he's going to leave us, Command Sergeant Major Walter Tablico in Carolyn. Something says there's only 3 corps in America. In this one who actually is first and the third, because the corps he commanded is Warfighting Corps. He's moving on to Korea and wear 3 hats. the most senior enlisted in non-commissioned officer in the Pacific. And we're very proud of you, and Carol. Now we cannot accomplish this without, I'm going to say something about congressional, we would just cover up what's expired. We did not accomplish this without legislative support and community support. So first, I'm going to call in a friend and veteran Academy graduate, Bruce Stenmeyer. He's the Pierce County Executive Director.
Thank you, General. And representing the 850,000 residents of Pierce County, I'm standing here to be part of this richly justified honor to our Filipino-American World War II veterans. And I have probably a slightly closer relationship than some to this. As the General indicated, I served in the United States Navy, and part of that service, including being stationed in the Philippines. And I was proud to have my unit go out and do some natural disaster recovery and response in the Olongapo area. I was back there several times as an admiral's aide, so I had a rich connection to the Filipino community and a deep appreciation for the culture there. A big fan of lumpia. I would also point out that while I was at the United States Naval Academy, my roommate was Filipino-American by the name of Victorino Mercado. I just celebrated my 35th reunion from the United States Naval Academy and saw Admiral Mercado, who just finished 3 years as one of the Navy's key leaders in the Pacific Fleet. And General, like you, his dad was a Navy Master Chief Petty Officer, so, yeah. We're gonna learn some stories and pay just really justifiable tribute to some incredible heroes. But I want to tell you a brief story about a hero that you may not know about, because she was an unlikely corporal in the United States Navy. Magdalena Lorenez was also an unlikely guerrilla. She was in her early 20s when the war came to the Philippines. She was an incredible person of faith and was serving in the mountains as a missionary, but as war came, she saw atrocities and things happen to her people that she could not stand idly by. So she became a corporal in the Filipino-American Irregular Troops. She was a super spy. She relayed intelligence information. She passed along radio parts. She was absolutely crucial in the war that went on while the U.S. Army and the U.S. Navy were apart from the Philippines from 1942 to 1944. Her service was recognized, well, first of all, she was captured 3 times during her service. And she was recognized by the United States by awarding Corporal Leones with the Silver Star. That is the 3rd highest military honor that we bestow. An incredible story about an incredible woman in an extremely difficult time. And heroic, the kind of heroism that we all want to honor and remember, like we're going to do today. So it is interesting that, and General Hillman will recognize this, the Naval Air Station that I flew into when I reported to the Philippines is now an international airport. The base I was stationed at is now a thriving port serving the people of the Philippines. That is just a great example of how the relationships that were forged in fire, we must never forget. But at the same time, all of us must move on and build on those relationships. And with that, I am honored and excited to be here today and to justifiably honor these incredible Filipino American heroes. Thank you.
Thank you, Pierce County Executive Director Bruce Denmeyer. And now, my senator, and I always proud of my senator. He's been supportive of the veterans, Asian Americans, and the majority of us go to Olympia. He's got an open door policy. Now, please join me and welcome Senator Conway.
Thank you, Oscar, for that great introduction. You know, I am really deeply humbled to be here today and to honor these awardees and the sacrifices of their families. I am honored to do this because they are the ones who made this world possible for us here today. I want to welcome you here to the 29th Legislative District. We're actually sitting in the 29th Legislative District, our district, and I want to introduce an old friend who was a state senator for this district that many of you know that we did introduce, and that is Senator Rosa Franklin. Would you stand up, Senator Franklin? I followed in big footsteps here, and Rosa knows that. But it is, you know, kind of appropriate that we're here on the 50th celebration in this building, which many of you probably don't know. I'm a historian, so we're going to look at a little history from me. Was the setting of the USO during World War II, right here. Right here, as we commemorate this celebration of the Filipino family soldiers, here was where soldiers gathered in this building during World War II. And, you know, all I can say is that I can hear them here, standing here with us, living this recognition and sacrifice of the Filipino people. Because many of them probably served with the Filipino people during World War II. I might add, though, I'm a historian. I have actually a degree in history. Bruce was talking about his military experience. I am deeply troubled that it took us this long to come to this recognition. 75 years, where have we been? The 260,000 soldiers, scouts, and guerrillas who fought in the Philippines, who fought in the Pacific, and yet that sacrifice, so much of it has been left out of our own history. So I stand here committed to you, my Filipino community, that we must educate our young people, our family members, about this sacrifice. And this is the next phase of this project, education. And I pledge to you to use my role in the legislature to help you with that project. And I will do that. And again, I am deeply humbled to be here. Thank you very much.
And now I'd like to call on our keynote speaker, Command Sergeant Major Matt Alva. We served together in around 2003 and 2005. Matt, Matt, 8 or 9 combat tours. I feel ashamed just showing 3. And he's a friend. He's the Command Sergeant Major of 62nd Medical Brigade, former Command Sergeant Major at Madigan in Germany, and known for taking care of soldiers. And I want to thank you for all the support behind the scene, to get us honor guard, color guard, soldiers. I'm very proud that soldiers with Otto Murphy Awards, they're wearing blue. That's really very, very special. You have to go to many, many hands-on tests and tests. And they're here. Command Sergeant Major Alba set that example. Please join me in welcoming Command Sergeant Major Matt Alba.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, and most importantly, our World War II veterans and their families and their descendants. Thank you for coming today. But before I start, to the families, members of Philippine Scouts, especially the 26th Cavalry, my four uncles, the Felix, the Jose, the Nano, and my very own Father Ezekiel, who was shot trying to escape. Today, I proudly wear my gold combat spurs and my cavalry Stetson in your honor. First, I'd like to thank God that I'm here to speak to you today. I know there's a lot of challenges for everybody just to get here today. It's been a long, long journey. To the organizers of this special event and that made this special event happen, thank you. And special thanks to General Hillman. My wife actually calls him Uncle Oscar, and I always correct her, hey, it's Uncle to you, General to me. So sir, thank you. You know, General Hillman is a very special guy. He's probably, if you don't know him, he's probably the most beloved general in the CENTCOM theater of operations, and that is on the Middle East. A lot of generals are well known for their history and their actions in battle, but this didn't. Yes, he commanded a brigade in combat. Yes, he was the commander of the largest installation, forward operating base in Iraq. He led his troops into combat and made history books. But that's the normal stuff the general does. To our kababayans, the overseas Filipino workers, or folks that fund the Philippines, often we call them TCNs, third country nationals. They love him so much. They still talk about him till today. During the initial dark days of Operation Iraqi Freedom, General Hillman recognized the plight of our overseas Filipino workers. They had no health care. These overseas Filipino workers, TCNs, they're the one who does all the logistical functions for us. They do the laundry, water, showers, and the most importantly, the dining facilities. The best. So when he saw the plight of our overseas Filipino workers and the TCMs, he went to the Task Force Medical Commander. Hey, Commander, how you doing? How's life? How's the accommodation? Great, sir. We have water, we have power, we have laundry, and yes, the best dining facility. Well, that's good. So how's the healthcare business? Well, sir, I think we can take more patients. I think we have the capacity for it. Well, Commander, how about taking care of those folks that take care of you? Because those OFWs, those PCMs, don't have health care that's in the problem. If they go outside the gate, they're going to get beheaded. They're going to get killed. So what do they do? They just suffer. Can you help them out? Lord behold, they did. They did help. Fast forward to today. Medical rules of engagement has changed, but policy still remains. If a defense contractor will hire TCM, they will provide health care for them. So that's your legacy. Thank you. This afternoon, I'll be addressing two groups. First, and the most important group, are the veterans and families of World War II Philippine Scouts. The second group are the current generation. On 7/7/1941, Japan attacked Pearl Harbor. A few hours later, the bomb went up. That was the start of the war for the U.S. Army Philippine Scouts. They were highly trained, primarily led by U.S. Army regular officers with Filipino NCOs. They were the one tasked to defend the Philippine Islands against the Japanese army. As an example, and I know this son is here, during the Battle of Bataan, Sergeant Jose Palucas, a mess sergeant, on the 16th of January 1942, a battery gun position was bombed and shelled by the enemy until one gun was put out of commission, and all cannoneers were either killed or wounded. Sergeant Lucas, a mess sergeant from another battery, voluntarily, without orders, ran 1,000 yards across shell-swept areas to the gun position. He then organized a volunteer squad and placed the gun back into commission and fired effectively against the enemy. While the position remained under constant heavy Japanese artillery fire, for his action above and beyond the call of duty, he was awarded the Medal of Honor. Ladies and gentlemen, that is just one of the hundreds and thousands of stories of gallantry of our soldiers, what they did during World War II, to the families and soldiers of the Philippine Scouts. I say to you that there is no money, there is no medal that we can ever give you to pay for your service to our country. Thank you. Now, for the current, and yes, that includes the millennials. You know, I've been in the Army now for over 30 years. Served multiple combat tours and deployments. One day, a fellow buddy of mine turned to me and said, hey, you know, these new soldiers we have are not the same as when we were growing up. in the Army, in a kind of negative way. So I replied to him, yes, they are different. They are technologically smarter, stronger, faster, and most resilient soldiers we've ever had. And yes, they still bleed red, white, and blue. Our job as good leaders is to find what it takes to make their soldiers tick, or what motivates them. If that means learning a new way to communicate to them, so be it. We had our 1941, back during 9/11. The torch of freedom has been handed to us by the soldiers of the Philippine Scouts. It is our duty to carry on that torch forward in their honor. Remember, you are their hopes and dreams. We cannot fail them. And yes, we are proud of you. So, my pledge to you, until the last drop of my blood, and then until the last of my breath, I, Command Sergeant Major Alba, do solemnly swear that I will defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign or domestic, and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, and that I will obey orders of the President of the United States and the officers appointed over me, according to regulations and the Uniform Code of Military Justice. So help me God, because this we will defend. Maraming salamat po, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Command Sergeant Matt Alba. Let's give him another round of applause. I want to take a minute here to acknowledge more of our community and civic leaders. A few of them were already mentioned. I just need to mention a few more. We have with us today a representative from our Lycée organization. I know it can be seen better this way. Is substituting for Mr. Walter Nakamoto is Mr. Nakamoto. Please stand and wave. Patsy O'Connell, founder of APCC. Is she here today? And you've already met Lua, and many of you already know her. She has left her mark, indelible mark in our community. Larry Cambronero, commander of Bataan Corridor, Survivor Association. And we have some city council members here, and please raise your hand if I have failed to call out your name. I want to anyway. Thank you. Now, the moment we're all waiting for, we would like to acknowledge our living veterans. We purposely set this program up so that we would give them time to be able to arrive, widows, and our surviving veterans. We're honored today to have 3 with us. They're in the front, and I would like them to come up if they are able to. Mr. Vitaliano Bantilas.
Let me do this different. I know we have procedures. I want to have my military friends on my right and elected officials on my left. This is a team process.
The process we're going to be doing today is we are first calling up and acknowledging and recognizing our World War II veterans. They're going to be escorted by our warriors. Bear with us, we're going to allow them their photo op time. And over to the left, we have letters of recognition from Senator Patty Murray's office, and Sergeant Valdez and Sergeant Reckmeyer will be presenting the letters of recognition to each of these gentlemen and spouses.
Did you have a good photo?
Mr. Bantinas, what little I know of him, he is 91. He is from Cebu. Does Mr. Bantinas' family, have they joined him here today? Please just stand where you are. Just stand where you are, please. Our next veteran to be called up is Mr. Jesse R. Castro. Mr. Castro is also 91. And he resides in Seattle, Washington. Will the family of Mr. Jesse Castro's family please just stand up and acknowledge? Mrs. Castro is still here with him, and she deserves a round of applause too. Our next veteran is Mr. Lenore Jimenez, accompanied here today by his family. I do not know how old Mr. Jimenez is. I apologize. And while we're doing this, we have the widows here today. Please stand and begin to file up here on the right, my right. I am aware that we have 4 surviving widows here with us today, but I believe we may have more. So if you are a surviving widow of a veteran, please come to the right. I will call out your names if I know them. Mrs. Rudy Gramahi, her name is Valerie Gramahi. Okay, Mrs. Cervantes. Mrs. Gramahi, please come to the front. Mrs. Gramahi, please come up to the front. Emma La Puebla, representing her husband, Fred La Puebla. Concordia La Talailai, representing her husband, Jose. Representing Matilde Lacau is, I have asked her to substitute for me, Mirna Victoriano. Matilde was not able to join us today, but she resides in Renton, Washington. All total, I think we have rounded up 56 next of kin, widows, and veterans in the Region 8 area who have not yet received their award. Today, we are hoping to honor their veterans with their family members next of kin. The way we will be doing this is alphabetical. So if your last name begins with an A, that is, if your veteran's last name begins with an A, please proceed to the right and have your receipt with you. I apologize early on if I mispronounced your name. I also apologize in advance if I have the name of the next of kin incorrect. As you know, this can be a moving target, so we apologize if we are not able to have an accurate name. First on the list is Mr. John Abuan, represented by the Christina Sacramento. Is Sacramento family here or Abuan family? Next one is Benigno Escobar, represented by Violeta Escobar. Accepting will be the Night of Chrysostomo Slam. Teodoro Ajeto, represented by Eleuteria Lactoa, or the grandson. Felicito R. Alviar, represented by Gregory Alviar. Is the Alviar family here? You're it? Nice to meet you, Greg. We're neighbors. Timoteo Z. Alviz, represented by Timoteo Jr. Is the Alviz family here? Philemon Apilado, standing in for the family, is Chrysostomo Slam. Vincent Austria, represented by Nicholas Austria. Is the Austria family here? There you go. Congratulations. Have I got all the A's? Moving on to the D. Silvino R. Valmores, represented by Joe Bonorden. Philemon Bautista, represented by Melly Bautista. Eshki. Robert M. Bautista. Is the Bautista family here? Ignacio Buena Vista, represented by Ruby Buena Vista.
Esther Bautista is my cousin.
Nerio Buscalino, represented by Elena Hager. Zenon Carlos, represented by Nicholas Gascon. Is the Carlos family here? Thank you for your service, sir. Gerardo Calvat, represented by Rudy Calvat.
Another one of my former soldiers.
Petronio B. Collado, represented by Christina Collado. Will the Collado family please stand? Will all the letter C family just come to the side, please?
Let me call Miss Alfie Alvarado. Here, Alfie. Alfie was starting day one, was part of us. She took this to the legislator in Washington, D.C. So that the live term of this congressional program, Alfie was part of us.
If you didn't hear, Brigadier General Oscar Hillman introduced VA Director Alfie Alvarado to join us here. Did Mr. Collado get accepted here? Yes? Yes, are you Collado? Costales. Okay, so moving on. Bernabe Costales, represented by Patricia Costales. Ouch. Emmanuel de Ocampo, represented by Emmanuel de Ocampo Jr. Those with the letter D, please come to the right. And letter E and F. Fred de Gregorio, represented by Christine de Gregorio. Will the de Gregorio family stand? Melchor Delfinado, represented by Ophelia Viola. Jorge Elgar, represented by Grace Elgar Wood. Is the Elgar family here? Melencio Figueroa, represented by Domingo Figueroa. Severino Flores, represented by Linda Divina. Malu Castro, did we call your name? Paterno Castro. Alberto Castro, represented by Malu Valdez. Mr. Castro is the grandfather of our soloist today, Margaret Valdez Castro. Zosimo Wian. And I know this family came from the Bay Area. Evelyn Guion, representing her father. Genaro Javier, represented by Noli Gurizon. Please stand. Is Noli here? Will families with the letters J through L please come to the side? Major General Albert M. Jones, represented by Captain Russell Jones Henry. Mr. Charles Kennedy, represented by Timothy Kennedy. Mr. Ernesto Labrador family, represented by Julius Labrador. Is the Labrador family here?
You'll also get a letter from Senator Madinger by name.
Senon Habibtin, represented by Reynaldo Habibtin.
Sorry about that. I was trying to move the chairs out of the way.
Mr. Howard Lindsay, represented by James Lindsay. Alberto Lianes, represented by Genevieve Lianes, and I know there are 16.
Everyone of them came from Chicago.
Cayetano Loyola, represented by Mitchell Loyola.
Everybody come together. Here we go.
Big family.
Victoriano Luna, represented by Andrea Macabeo. Vicente Luna, represented by Andrea Macabeo. Lycerio Magnupa, represented by Teresita Schaefer. My apologies if I'm not pronouncing the name right. Mabagua. Godofredo Navarro, represented by Agnes Navarro Garcia. Jose Neary, represented by Zenaida Whitlaw. How are we doing? We doing okay? Isidro Lopez, represented by Erlinda Medalla. For the O through Y, please proceed to the right. Desiderio Oligario, represented by Joanne Oligario. Artemio Omada, represented by Alan Gershon or Ms. Kaika. Ambrosio Pendon, represented by Joseph Pendon. Is the Sabado family here today? Yes. Al Sabado, represented by Maria Holmberg. Maura Salonga, represented by Maurice Salonga.
Mary West, Mary is married.
I'm going to take 2 steps back and mention Ramon De Leon, represented by Frank De Leon. De Leon family. Ricardo Canotas, represented by Eddie Canotas. Francisco Sandico, represented by Dr. Evelyn Estrada Shepherd. Pablo Siguar, represented by Rogelio Siguar. Eduardo Tancueco, represented by Mario Tancueco. Joe Torres, represented by Erica Newman. Is the Newman family here?
Fine. It's the same letter, it's just they don't have a mark. We're going to go to the next.
Yes, Mrs. Palai was one of the surviving widows. We've come to the end of our line, of our list. Is there anyone I have not called? Is this Fernando Igona? Represented by Loretta Igona Cinco. And that is all of it today. Thank you all so much for your cooperation. I think this was a dignified
Sorry about that, we know.
Round of applause to our helpers.
Come on, guys.
Everybody said it all, after 75 years, our veterans, their families receive the proper recognition. I also try to tell people, picture this from May 1942 to June 1946. Our soldiers fought without resources, fighting the jungle, no medical support, no food. There's no other war like the campaign in the Philippines that endured hardship. You know, the largest surrender in the history of the Philippines was the Bataan March, coupled with spending time in the POW camp. So, being you here today, we appreciate our 3 living veterans, the spouses, and the next of kin. Likewise, we will not be in America without being a soldier in the United States Army. So, everyone, how about a round of applause, and thank you so much.
You notice that when each of our recipients today received the gold medal, they also received a folder. Thanks in part to Sergeant Valdez and Sergeant Ortmeyer. They were handing out letter of congratulations from Senator Patty Murray's office. So you're probably curious, if you didn't get one, what states in that letter. So let's have Chelsea Clayton. Is she up here? She's going to share with us the message from our Congressional Senator, Patty Murray.
Good afternoon. Senator Murray couldn't be here, so she asked that I bring this forward for years to come, both here and in the other Washington. There is much work left to be done to ensure all of our nation's veterans receive the care and support they earned from their years of service. And as a member of the Senate Veteran Affairs Committee, know that I will continue fighting for the recognition and benefits all our veterans deserve, and that you will always have a partner in me. Thank you again for coming together to celebrate and commemorate our Filipino-American World War II veterans. Please accept my best wishes for a successful and enjoyable event.
Thank you, Chelsea, and thank you, Senator Patty Murray, for your support. Senator Murray was one of the first, if not the first, to sign on to the bill. So that's how much she supports our Filipino veterans community. So we have 5 medals sitting at the table. We understand that we had accounted for this many. So it is possible that someone did not receive their medal who was expected to receive it. Are you aware of anyone?
We're good. We're good.
We're good. Our registrar says we're good. However, we did not receive all your receipts, so we want to make sure that we have accountability, and if you are still holding your receipt, please take a minute to turn it over to Zenaida. Thank you. You've all been a great audience. We're going to end early. It's warm in here, and so I want to just acknowledge as many of our community and civic leaders that have attended today. We are going to close with a song, God Bless America, and our soloist Walker Gallagher.
Katie is a family friend. Her grandma and mom are Patty's best friend. She sang at my deployment ceremony at Tacoma. Some of you may not remember. There were 25,000 Washingtonians my deployment. So I asked her to come back and do the same. Thank you, Katie.
Thank you. Before I start, I just want to say congratulations to everybody and that I'm honored that Oscar asked me to sing here today. The first song is a cappella and it's God Bless America. God bless America, land that I love, stand beside her and guide her through the night with a light from above, from the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans wide with foam. God bless America, my home sweet home. God bless America, my home sweet home. If tomorrow all the things were gone I'd worked for all my life and I'd had to start again with just my children and my wife. I thank my lucky stars to be living here today, 'cause the flag still stands for freedom and they can't take that away. And I'm proud to be an American, or at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the ones who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. There ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea, from Detroit down to Houston, and New York to LA. Well, there's pride in every American's heart, inside we stand and say that I'm proud to be an American, or at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the ones who died,
you, Kate. That's outstanding. Man, if you didn't feel it in your heart, I don't know what would. I just want to make an announcement. The day is not over. Today is Filipino American History Month, and out these doors are still a wealth of activities. We encourage you to stay, enjoy, absorb some of that culture, and taste the food. There is a balut eating contest. For those of you that do not know what balut is, if you've ever watched Survivor, they have introduced this delicacy. It is a chick inside an egg that is steamed. So, none other than General Hillman will be participating in that. If you have the heart and the gut, feel free to participate into the ABC room. That concludes our event today, and we ask you to take time to thank people in the service and enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you for coming.